Right. So no queries. So what I'm going to do here is just use time.sleep of 5, and I'm going to import time as well. This means that once this, the whole idea is once this program is completed, the driver will exit, which means you will, the browser will basically close. To avoid it, we're just sleeping for 5 minutes, waiting for, sorry, 5 seconds, so that we get to see this on the screen. Let's run this and let's take a look at this. We're opening the browser, we're opening this page, and you can see here, typing here for a trial is automatically typed. These sort of things like typing username, then typing password, then logging in, and let's say sending an email or just tweeting something or whatever it could be. A lot of things can be automated. You might already think of things that you can automate in your everyday life. This is how you can perform, let's say, automation for it. Now, moving ahead, I also said that you can perform this without any browser being visible. I've told you that whatever operation we just did, I can perform this without having the browser being seen at all, so that it performs it in the backend and I don't even get to know. To do that, you have a couple of ways to do it. I'll just walk you through this. From Selenium, again, all of this I'm just walking through these important parts given our limited time, so that you can take a look at these specifically and implement these that you require. If we go through every part of it, of course, it's gonna take a huge amount of time. That is completely understandable. So we are going through the most common things that we need to go through, that we need to know on a general basis, so that you can utilize them on an everyday basis, or whenever you want to utilize it for, let's say, your everyday purpose. You can do all of that just as a scenario. So yeah, there are a lot of things you can do within this. Let's start with this to begin with. Now, from Selenium in WebDriver dot not common, sorry, dot, we are using Chrome. So let me take Chrome options. I'm gonna import this class called options. Here's what I'm gonna do. Um, before we create this before we create this WebDriver, I'm gonna give this WebDriver a parameter called options. I want to give it some options. Um, sorry, I'm gonna give it some options specifically, and that options will be an object I'll create called Chrome options. Again, day one, when we look at Selenium, first thing, too many functions, too many complications. I completely understand that. But all I want to do is, at least for the last 1.5 hours, 1 to 1.5 hours, I wanted to just explore these other packages that are quite useful, and have us walk through them, which might be utilized well over time for us. It might be something that we might just utilize constantly over time. So I just wanted us to have a walkthrough on it. That's the basic purpose. Anyway, yeah, let's get back to this. Now, you have something called options, and you can specify how do you want this browser to behave using these options. So to do that, I need to first create an object of these options. Let's create it called Chrome options equals options. And in Chrome options, you can add an argument that is called headless. Now, you might already remember what this means. It's a flag. It's a flag we are passing as an argument that we have done in prior as well. We know we have done this. So yeah, this is the argument I'm adding, and this is the Chrome options I'm adding as option. So to Chrome browser, I'm telling you start your Chrome browser, but don't show it on screen. Every operation that will be done here will be done hidden in the background. You're not going to show any graphical user interface of Chrome. You're going to perform the whole operation without any graphical user interface, only based on these operations. So if you run this, it'll still run. Now you see we don't have any browser visible. I can do other tasks on my screen. but it has completed its task. But how will I know it has completed its task? We really can't get to know immediately, right? So I'm just gonna comment this out right now, so that we can actually see this again. Instead, here's what we're gonna do. We have identified this first. Let's go on for a couple of other tasks and we'll see what can be done. Again, you can do a lot of different things like slider, which will change this progress bar, or let's say there's tons of things you can literally do. You can do a lot of things to work on. This is um, again, you can access a web page within a web page, which is called an iframe. You can select different radio buttons. You can open any URL. Um, you can read this particular paragraph. You can click this button and then read this paragraph. That's what we're going to do up next. So there's so many things we can do. I'll just give you one more example for reference. I'll open facebook.com and I'll just show you here for reference, because I believe last time when we tried this with Facebook in a session that I had recently tried, it had a proper fixed name. So you can see here, um, name and ID are email. So ID is email here. Similarly, when you go to password and you click on inspect, you haven't you have a proper ID. ID is pass. So if you go over to Pom Builder here, and you can see ID can be used because it is unique. It says it is recommending it. Similarly, if you click on email, it says ID can be used as email. It is unique. So these sort of things can be directly used. And once you enter or send keys, let's say for example here, the next thing you need to do is just click on this login button. And login button also has a unique name, not an ID. Remember, the ID is not unique. You can see it has some random characters and numbers, which means that can change. But the name is going to be unique, which means you can log in through this. So if you want to try with your Facebook login, you can try that. Just showing this for reference because this is something that directly provides these as it is. But yeah, let's get back to our current case. What I want to do here is, again, you can use the same logic that we are doing to click the login button in Facebook page. However, I'm going to click this button. I'm going to click this button maybe 3 or 4 times, and I'm going to print whatever is present here. So let's look at this button. How do we work around this? This button, again, let's go to Pom Builder to make it easy. You can see it has an ID called my button. So the first thing I'm going to do is check if this ID is unique here. I'm going to test it by checking it ID. I'm going to search. There's only one of it, and it points to exactly where I want to click. So this works as expected. So the next thing I want to do is click on this button. To do that, I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'll call button element equals driver.find element. This time it is still by ID itself. My button is an ID. But if you don't want to use button, if you want to use something else like CSS selector or XPath, you can do that as well. There are other ways to work around and try it out. If you want to try it out with, let's say, some different ways, um, just for our reference and our understanding. If you want to try out a few different things, you can absolutely feel free to do that. So let's go ahead and try this out. Now, take a look at this. This is its XPath. XPath is its relative path within the web page. You can take this XPath and search for it. It'll still be unique. So if you want to use XPath instead, you can do that as well. I'll just show you for reference. I'm going to use find element by dot, this time XPath. And within this XPath, I'll place this. That's it. That's all you need to do. Once you have found that element, next thing is for us to click that element. I'm just going to use button underscore element dot click. That's it. Just a simple click function. And I'm going to put this in a loop for us to work around. For I in range of 1 to 6, I'm going to click it. After clicking it, I'm going to call sleep for 3 seconds. Let's see if it works as expected. So it clicked to be purple, it clicked to be green. Then again, 2 seconds later, it's gonna click again. 2 seconds later, it's gonna click again. So a lot of things you can do. You can perform way too many things with this. It's you don't have to let go of your mouse control. You don't have to do anything. It's just gonna perform by itself. So yeah, this is something I just wanted to show, and I want to add one more part of this logic so we can take a look at it and understand. Once this button is clicked, I want to get to know what is this text. I want to get to know what exactly is this text content, and I want to print it. So let's take a look at this. It says this text is green. How do I identify this? You can see here, it has an ID called ptext. Let's try it out and let's search for it. There's only one ID ptext. So I need to get that text of ptext in order to show it. Now, let's start with that. Let's start with this. Right. So prior to that, if any queries, please feel free to let me know, guys. Please let me know. All right, if no specific queries, I guess we can move ahead to this specifically. Now, after clicking this, here's what I want to do. I want to get this paragraph element next. So a common good practice is find all the elements first and then do your operation that you want. So don't keep finding elements in the middle of the page. Find all the elements first, unless that element comes on a page later on, unless it's something that you make appear. So let's get this next element called paragraph element is driver.find element again py.id. Let's take a look at what it is. It is ptext. I'm just going to copy this. And after clicking this button, I need to read the context of ptext. I need to read what is its content. So to get its content, I'm just going to have to print paragraph element dot text. That's it. There's a simple variable of it called text. If you access it, you get its text content. So let's see if this works as expected. You can see this output keeps getting printed. Each time you click on it, you get to see either text is green or purple or whatever it is. So yeah, just a simple way for you to perform these operations. Now I'm gonna add this headless back again to run it, just so I can show you how it works around. So you can see here, there is no other browser that's running. It's just our single browser that we have here. That's pretty much it. But you can still work around. So this is a wide range of things that you can do within Python. When you start working on Selenium, there are a lot of things that you can work around, a lot of things you can do. So yeah, just to ask before we go ahead, do you think there is any particular use case in that you can think of that you would like to use this in? So we can probably explore what specific operations needs to be done on it. So and explore those operations. If you think there are any specific use cases that you think of, we can particularly look at them. That should not be a problem. So please let me know if there are any that you feel like. If any at all, you can feel free to let me know. We can work around those specifically. That should not be a problem. Right. So if none, that's also absolutely fine. That should um, not be an issue. You can try to take a look at things in Selenium and yeah, see how it works and see how you can work around it. So the only thing we got to know, only thing we got to realize is how to find elements and how to do this. There are a lot of other things you can use Selenium for in reality. And I just want to point out one or two things for our reference so we get to know where else you can actually use this in reality. So take a look at this. Let's say you're working, or let's say there's a web page or a website, let's say Amazon or um, Gap Clothing, because this is one organization I've actually worked with in prior, uh, particularly with Selenium. So yeah, that's they use it a lot. So the idea is that I'll just give you the example of how Gap Clothing works. So the idea is that they need to redesign their website constantly. They need to add new images. They need to add some new icons. If there is an offer, they need to change the way things look, everything. After all of these things are made, they need to make sure their website doesn't break. What if they create something new in their web page, some offer page, but login button is not working because of that, or some other operation, cart menu is not visible, or something takes up too much space? A lot of these things might happen. So Selenium is used over there uh, to perform automated testing. So every night by 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., once they move to the other server, they pretty much test their entire website in a quick 2 minutes time by checking every little part of it, if every part works or not. If any part doesn't work, they'll let the developers know right then and there, which means it will not go to the server. They will redo it and then it goes to the server. So just to give an example, there are a huge amount of real world applications you can actually see when it comes down to this. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little intro on what it is, how it works, what you can do with it, what are the different operations you can perform with it, and so on. Now, apart from this, you can do a lot of things, particularly like, let's say, right click somewhere or move the mouse to a particular location in terms of pixels, height and width, select some text, or uh, modify anything at all, some slider or modified drop down so you can actually view it elsewhere. So there are a lot of things that you can do. So again, I just wanted to give you a small introductory session to what Selenium is in Python, and how you can work around it, how you can play with it. So um, again, a really big way to work on top of it is to go through Selenium's official documentation. Um, Not this documentation. There's another documentation in Selenium. Let me walk you through that. Yeah, this one. This particular documentation page has logic along with different languages you can work on top of it. Like if you want to work on Selenium on top of Java, you have your complete code to work on top of it. If you want to work on top of Python, you have the same thing. Again, exactly same thing as we did. So this is available for every little type of application you can work on. So this is a really beautiful site where you can learn a lot if you want to get in detail with Selenium. Um, so you can do that. But in our case, we have just done this simple task. So yeah, one little thing we're going to do in this is just get to know what are the applications of it, how you work around it. Then we're going to try to perform a few basic methods, few basic operations, and I'll just show you what are the things you can do. Now, since you got to know how to select an element, how to perform this simple operation like selecting an element and let's say typing something or so on, let's make one small change to this. Let's create a new file. Let's call it facebook.py. And our approach is pretty simple. I'm just going to copy this entire thing in interest of time. And instead of going to this particular web page, I'm going to go to facebook.com. And what I want to do is a pretty simple task. I want to get to log in to my Facebook account. Of course, I'm not going to use any real user email address or password. We're just going to use a random one, but we just want to see if we can work on it. So let's go to email address where we need to type it. Let's go back to Pom Builder. we get to see we can access it by an ID. So I'm just going to quickly replace this called ID, and I'm going to call this as email input text area. So this additional thing will tell you what that item is so you never forget. So it becomes easy for you to understand. And the next one is password. Let's click on that. So this also has a recommended locator ID that is pass. So we're just going to take that as well. I'm just going to call it pass for our reference, and I'm going to call this as password input text area, or just call password text area. That should be fine. Now, once this is done, I need to enter the email saying this is my email at notmyemail.com. And let's do the same for password. Let's take password text area dot send keys, and we'll send it something like this is not my real password. Now, once this is done, we just have to find the button that's gonna do login. Let's go ahead to do this, and you immediately get to know it's by name this time. The ID is not unique. See, as I told you earlier, I think I told you this with respect to Google. However, when we refreshed it, it did not change. Probably they might have some settings that it will change after a while or after a short time and so on. Again, it differs from website to website, but you can see here that ID is something that they highly suggest not to use because it doesn't look like something that is human generated. It looks very much like an auto-generated ID. So for this particular purpose, we'll just consider in our case, instead of using ID, we'll just use name. So let's change this as instead of by XPath, let's take by name, and the name is login. Done. Now, once we have entered the email address and so email ID and the password, I'm just going to wait for 3 seconds, and then I'm going to perform our button element dot click. That's pretty much it. Once we do this, let's take a look at what happens. Have I made it headless? Yeah, there we go. I've made it headless. I've made one mistake. And I have executed the wrong program as well. So let's go ahead to run Python 02 Facebook. There we go. This should open Facebook, and there you go. We've got our email and password entered, and oh yeah, right after clicking, we are exiting. We are not even waiting. So let's add some time to wait even after clicking login, and let's see what happens. Because by default, the moment the last operation is done, your program is immediately going to exit. It's not going to do anything else after that. So there we go. We waited for a few seconds. It's supposed to click login. After clicking login, it waited for 5 seconds. Probably it was still loading, nothing happened, and it just went ahead. Um, okay, at least we need to find some message here that should be visible. But by some reason it was not. Let me just cross check. Oh yeah, here's the mistake. I'm so sorry. The mistake is this. Okay, what did it change? Let me just cross verify. Okay, it is name login, but yeah, before login. But I think there's something that might change here when you load it differently, which is probably why I was not able to probably click it. Yeah, but yeah, I hope you get the basic idea of this to begin with, though. I'll just see why it was not able to click on login. Let me just restart this and try it out. So you can see this web page is loaded. Login is clicked. Okay, login is clicked, which is why it's trying to load. It's still trying to load by the time which it exited. So let us just increase the sleep time and see what happens. Not sure if it's the network that I have or through this Chrome driver that it's actually slower. But you can see it has actually clicked login, which is why it's disabled right now. And you can see in the top right, it's loading and it could not log in. So it's asking the email address you entered isn't connected to an account. And I'm not sure why Facebook took that much time. They probably need to work on their database connectivity, but that's another thing. Let's move ahead. So yeah, this is one thing I just wanted to point out. There are a lot of things that you can do to begin with within this to work around, but I'm gonna stop it at here. I know it's a very small introduction to Selenium within like half an hour, but given our time constraints, I don't think we can really complete or work around a lot of things. You have async operations in Selenium. You can take a screenshot, you can download a video, you can download an image in a web page. You can do um, a huge amount of things when you start working on it, when you really take a look into it. So if you want to work around it, if you want to take a look into it, it's something that is beautiful to work on things. So if you feel like, let's say, from an HR perspective in an organization, they need to automate a happy birthday post for each and every employee, one in LinkedIn, one in Facebook, or one over email and everything, and they just have to change the name or something. They can just do that with Selenium, for instance. So in reality, there's a lot of ways you can implement it, a lot of purposes you can work through it. But yeah, just with that, I will stop about Selenium for now. Again, there are a lot of things that you can try out, a lot of things that you can work on it to take some examples. Yeah, Browser Stack has really good examples. This is one thing. Yeah, Browser Stack has real good examples of Selenium. I'll just walk you through it. It should have Python as well, not just Java. I'm sure we should be able to find somewhere in Python, but this website has some real good tutorials within it, and they are a really good organization who take care of these automations as well. I'll just see if I can find this. I'll just share the link to you. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So you've got an amazing set of tutorials that you can walk through here. All right, this is fantastic. Yeah, of course, Browser Stack uses its own custom SDK on top of it. So if any of you would like to go through it, look into it, and learn about it, I'm just sharing that link for a reference ahead in time as well. Anyway, let's not take up too much time on Selenium. We have a few other things to take a look at as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Now, I just wanted to ask one query particularly, because there was a request about working with Python with PDF files. I just wanted to ask, what is it specifically about PDF files that you, mm, as participants, wanted to know? Is it performing optical character recognition in PDF so you can identify some texts in scanned images or so on? Or is it more like open a PDF, read the text in it, get the text out separately, and perform some operation on it or something like that? If you can let me know which of these two you're looking for more, I can try to at least walk through it and we can at least take a look at it in short at least. So I just need you to let me know, whoever it might be who has um, who wanted to know a little more about it with the PDFs. Is it about, sorry, is it about OCR or just text extraction and operations on top of it? So please let me know which one so that I can focus particularly on that, because both of these are very different.
Um, yeah, I'm the one that proposed the question about the PDF extraction. So let's say like you have a bunch of PDFs and you want to
Uh-huh.
extract the data from the PDFs and you want to store whatever you can extract into a database. My question was more like, what is like your recommended approach for taking out information from a PDF?
Okay,
Um,
got it, got it.
like I know there's like OCR, but
Uh,
like what if you have PDFs that are, like not perfect and maybe it's
digitized.
hard for the text to be extracted off of it.
All right. So I completely get this point. So when we talk about PDFs, we have different classes for us to recognize. PDF class 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if I can immediately find this. Um, there's a particular keyword for it which I do